This podcast is part of the Zeo to Hero Podcast Network.
AvenuePodcast.net.
Hello, all my beautiful people. It's time for another fun episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with this episode. It's a guy that I've seen wrestle multiple times, and recently got to talk with him backstage and realized that we actually have a lot in common. And the guy that I'm talking about is Angel Camacho. He is a wrestler from Diamond State. He wrestles all over Texas. He wrestles all over the place. And we kind of get into that, talk about where he got started at. We even get into anime and maybe even a little bit of Disney in this episode. He's the former super heavyweight champion at Diamond State Wrestling. We'll kind of get into that a little bit. And I think you guys are just going to really enjoy this episode. And for those of you who are here just to listen to the Angel Camacho episode, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear, and I hope that you stick around and listen to some of the other great episodes I have here as well. So, if you guys are as excited as I am, then let's get this show on the road.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Hey, Dad.
So where did you actually train at?
I made a really good career out of being able to bump, sell, and I had a punch me face.
I wasn't about to call you dad, so.
Seriously?
I felt like I was in an anime or something.
People get really mad at those videos for some reason. Like it triggers certain people. Yeah.
Wow.
I was actually lost as an infant, and I was taken in by a traveling group of independent wrestlers.
I love it. I'm excited for this stuff.
Bro.
Get punched in the face on the daily. Do you always do these interviews with your shirt off?
What?
Man, this guy won't shut up.
3S360 Moment Video Booth. What it is it's something unique. It's not like a regular photo booth. You can put these at any event, whether it be a large one or a small one, and people can make their own videos. What you do is you stand on this platform, and there's a camera that goes all the way around you. You can have people on there with you to do goofy poses or whatever it is. But what it does is it makes these events memorable. We all know that we want to make memories when we do this. We take pictures, we take videos. So what this does is it helps you to make a very unique experience. And the cool thing is when you have this device there, it is immediately shareable to your own devices. So reach out to 3S360 Moments Video Booth today to get them at your next big event. You can reach them at 3S360 Moments Photo Booth at gmail.com. I will have the email address in my show notes, but to make those events memorable, to have that unique experience, get them out there today. All right, everybody. You know, I get very excited when I have all of these different guests on here. This one, I feel is going to be a lot of fun. From the moment I met this guy, I knew that me and him were going to get along really well. He is a Texas-based wrestler. He is part of the United Diamond State Wrestling. He's the former super heavyweight champion. He's also the BIW Southern champion and the HKW champion. He's wrestled for MPX, BIW, RCW, Diamond State Wrestling, DFW, All Pro, all kinds of other places. King of Sports, you name it. He is awesome guy. I am very excited to have him on. I'm talking about Angel Camacho. Man, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm good. Just got done doing my adult life, so what you would quote unquote say 9 to 5.
There you go. Well, I know that you recently were kind of talking about it like on your Facebook page and everything. With what you do. So with time change that just happened, I bet you're probably pretty exhausted because you probably have to get up super early for that, don't you?
Yeah, so I usually have to be at work by like 6 o'clock ish.
Oh, okay.
So it's not too bad because my route is really short. Like by the time I clock in, I probably drive an hour and a half.
Okay.
And I'm done with my route. So it's not too bad, but it is exhausting. But the good part is once I'm done with my route, I get to come home for like 5-6 hours. So if I'm tired, I can take a nap, so.
Oh, that's nice.
It's pretty much a split shift. Yeah, it's pretty much split shift because then I go back at like 2:30, 2:40-ish.
Yeah.
And then do my afternoon route, and then I'm done.
Right on, man. Yeah, I've got it easy. You know, I have a pretty easy job. The 8 to 4:30. I've got banker hours pretty much. And
Nice.
yeah, I like what I do. So, you know, it makes it easy.
Yeah. It's always easy it's always good when you got an easy job.
Definitely. So the first time that I've been working with Diamond State Wrestling, and that's how I actually know you is from, you know, working there. And first two times, you know, I was just a fan in the seats watching you, and I got to see you face K Toomer. And then the next show was Shane Taylor that you faced. And then that next show, I actually got to talk to you backstage. And, you know, we've found that we have a lot in common, you know, and it's funny because whenever I pulled up at the show, I parked beside you. I didn't even know it was your car, but I saw all the anime stuff on it. And I was like, whoever that is a pretty awesome person. And then later I found out that it was you that had that car. So, you know, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. You know, I won't say I'm a huge anime nerd because you know, it hasn't been till recently that I've actually gotten into it.
Right.
And like we talked earlier, like, you know, my all-time favorite is My Hero and then Demon Slayer. I love them shows. Like, they're great. Now, if you were to ask me, hey, what's this guy's name? What's this guy? Unless I know him, I'm gonna be like, I'm lost. I know who he is. I just don't know his name.
Yeah.
So I'm not that big of and you know, I'm not like that super fan
that knows every little detail about it.
Exactly. Yeah. I would love to get to that point, but my memory is poop. So, just kind of hard, you know. I got 4 kids, so they drive me crazy enough. So trying to remember stuff like that doesn't work out all the time.
I totally get it. I'm 35. I have 2 kids that are well, one's a teenager and the other one's about to be 12. You know, so I've got a preteen, and yeah, it's hard remembering that stuff. I would love to be a better fan than what I am, but you know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I agree.
So I kind of want to talk about the wrestling side of everything here too. And how did you actually get into wrestling?
So it's funny because I've done, you know, a couple of wrestling interview podcasts and stuff like that. And that's always the question that comes up, right? And people are shocked by my answer because, you know, I guess a lot of people expect a wrestler to say, oh, man, this was my life dream. I've always wanted to do this growing up as a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that was not that wasn't my story. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've always been an athlete. My parents have always had me and my brothers in sports from the time that I can remember. Football, basketball, soccer, you name it, I probably played it. You know what I mean? So I was always an athlete. Well, at the time, I was still playing semi-pro football, but I was also working at McDonald's overnight. And now this was after high school, mind you. So it was 2009 is when I started.
Okay.
And I was one of my best friends was the manager. And you know, when your best friend's a manager, you kind of got some leeway.
Exactly.
So instead of working, I was in the office with him, and we were just kind of like joking around and talking and stuff like that. And he'd come up to me and he mentioned it. He was like, "Hey, bro, you know what I want to try?" And it was random too. He was like, "You want to try?" I was like, "What's that?" He was like, "Wrestling." And I'm like, "Wrestling?" He's like, "Yeah, like pro wrestling." I was like WWE stuff. Now, mind you, I've watched it, right?
Yeah,
I've watched it, but it was never like every Monday I'm glued to the TV type of deal, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, and I was like, "For real?" And he was like, "Yeah." And because I was such an athlete, I was like, "Let's try it. Like, what's the most that can happen? I don't like it."
Right.
You know? And then so we found a school in Ohio. And the teacher at the time, his name was Lamont Williams, but he goes by Lou Gotti now. We found him. We showed up to the school, which is kind of funny because I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. It kind of intertwines all together.
Okay.
So we finally show up to the school, and it's on the east side of Cleveland, which isn't known to be the best places. The best part of Cleveland, anyways.
Yeah.
We show up and we look to our right, and it's like a warehouse, kind of, right? So it's like a 3-floor warehouse where and like you look at the building and like there was windows that were kind of busted out. So we're both like, hold on, are we in the right place?
Yeah.
So we find out we're in the right place. So we get in there. It's like 3 flights of steps, and these are like long steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each step leading to the next level was long, and they even had an elevator, but we weren't allowed to use it. So we had to walk like 3 flights of steps because his training center at that time was on the 3rd floor.
Wow.
Yeah. So we finally get there. We're looking like, okay, we find the door. We open the door, and it's dark, right? And it's a ring between like some pillars with one. You know how you watch them like investigation shows where they got that one cone light?
Yep.
Right above your head?
Yeah.
So it's like this ring between these pillars with these busted windows, one seat in there, and then this little cone light right above the ring.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we were like, oh God, what's gonna happen here? Like, and we're both like, hey, we got each other's back, right? Like, if something goes down, we got each other, right?
Yeah.
So we eventually walk in there, and then like 10 minutes later, so he ends up coming, and then I do the tryout, and that's pretty much the start of it. And I tried out, and I was just like, I wasn't 100% sold on it, but I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance. And I'm gonna tell you this: football was my first love. Wrestling came around and quickly became my second love.
Yeah.
But I was still playing football at the time when I first broke into the business, so I didn't wrestle as much.
Okay.
But wrestling definitely quickly took football's place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's it. Like, it literally that simple. There's no, I wanted to do this my whole life story. It just kind of happened. And then next thing I know, I'm in love with it.
Well, that's a unique story, though. Not everybody's going to have that. So I love that you have that unique story.
And I agree, because it just feels like, and this is nothing against any other wrestlers or anything,
right?
But it feels like everyone's story is, oh man, I watched wrestling growing up. I always wanted to be a wrestler, and this and it. You know what I mean? And it's cool if that's your story. That's cool. But like, I don't hear too many unique stories of how someone became a wrestler,
right?
So it's nice to have a different one. And again, it's not a gimmick. It's not like a story I'm trying to tell. It's legit how everything went down. So,
wow. Well, and I'm hearing that story. I'm able to picture that in my head. And was this like winter months or what? Because you said I have broken out windows in this place, and
yeah. So like you know how you watch movies and like it'd be like in like those movies that'd be like in the hood in the ghetto, and then like they show like the worn down factories that were like a factory at one point, but then they shut down, and then people throw rocks in the windows, so like the windows are all busted out and stuff.
Yeah,
it was kind of like because it was on the east side of Cleveland, and it wasn't on the best part of the east side of Cleveland.
Right.
Like we had Cleveland Heights, which was in a more nicer area and stuff, but this was more like in the hood. So it was rough, man. And believe it or not, like when I want to say it was summer when we first did that.
Okay.
It was warm. It was really warm in there.
Yeah.
But the worst part is that when we were running, whenever I started training on a regular, and then we start running shows, we weren't running shows obviously out of this little, because honestly, it was no bigger than like a small studio apartment.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he had a low boy, so it fit perfect, but we couldn't run shows out of there. So you can just imagine 3 flights of steps of carrying boards and corner poles and all that down the steps to get to the show. And then when we get back at 3 a.m, we have to load it, but take it all the way back up to it was rough, man. And then eventually he found a better school. We found a better area and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was the beginning of it.
So watching the different products and stuff around the area, I've noticed seeing, and I'd never seen it before, because before March of 2022, I didn't even know there was independent wrestling. I'm very new to this. And so I had never seen what you just called a low boy ring before. And so the first time I saw that, I was like, that looks really weird and everything. Is there anything Does it feel different wrestling in the low boy compared to like a normal high ring?
So not necessarily. So essentially, all these rings, low boy, tall boy, whatever you want to call them, essentially serve the same purpose. And for the most part, they have different styles of rings, like how they built. The fundamentals, how they're built, how you put it together and stuff. Yeah. They have different types, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, they all work the same.
Right.
Now, it's up to the type of ring and the promoter and stuff like that, how that ring feels and stuff like that, right? That's a whole different subject of its own.
Okay.
But essentially, it's the same. Just because of the low boy, it doesn't make really any difference. It still works just like a regular ring.
Yeah.
You still bumping it. It still feels the same way as long as it's built the same way. You know what I mean? So it's just you don't have to either walk up any steps. You don't have to jump from the floor to the apron, because I never do that. I'd mess around and bust my face. If I tried it. With a low boy, you literally just take a step up.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference. It's just the height.
Okay.
Low boys work perfect for if you got a venue that the ceiling's not very tall.
Right. Right.
So low boys work perfect for those kind of buildings and stuff like that. I will say, using a low boy in a building where the ceiling's tall would look a little weird.
Okay.
Because it just the ceiling, if the ceiling's tall, a low boy would look weird in there, to me anyways.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I said, essentially they're the same.
For me, it would just seem like maybe they would be more sturdy with the lower ones and everything. But, I guess that's all about how well you tighten the stuff up and all that too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, sturdiness wise, it all depends on how you tighten it up. Like basically, like you said, how you tighten up the rope, how you tighten up the cables underneath it. All that stuff takes into account how sturdy that ring is.
Right.
I've wrestled in some really bad rings that felt like they were going to fall apart.
Yeah.
I've wrestled in some rings that were absolutely sturdy. I've wrestled in rings that were absolutely stiff.
Yeah.
I've wrestled in rings that when I take a bump, it feels like a pillow.
Oh.
Like, it all, honestly, again, it all depends on what that promoter uses.
Right.
And what they do with it,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to what's called breaking kayfabe. I don't want to make it seem like, then none of it really hurts. Pillow or not.
Right.
We are not meant to take back bumps like that. We are not meant to get hit like that. Every bit of it, even when you hit the ring, hurts.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know they call them sweet spots, because that's the one that hurts the least. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It just hurts the least in that spot.
Absolutely.
I know that. So you saw that Impact is going back to being TNA.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're actually fully going back to just being called TNA Wrestling. And, there's been talks of it being bringing back the Impact Zone. But I heard that they're not going to go back to the 6-sided ring because of how stiff and painful that ring is.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
I finally once got to wrestle in a 6-sided ring.
Really?
Let me tell you something. It was a couple years ago, but those things are stiff. 1. 2, it was so weird trying to run off the ropes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just because I don't know. It was weird. It was really, really weird. So, that was an experience. Now, I'm not gonna say I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because it was different.
Right.
But it was different.
Yeah.
Like, now, when you talk about, the purpose of the ring, at the end of the day, it's still the same purpose as, a low boy, 4-corner ring. But it's just, it has its own little factor, because now you got more than 4 corners. And then when you're running off the rope, it's just like, it's weird, man. Yeah, it's weird. It was weird. It was a little different. It was weird.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, I'd do it again. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I liked it. Liked it. Yeah. But it was weird, and it's one of those things that if you don't do it on a regular basis, going from wrestling in a 4-corner ring,
right?
Like regularly, and then out of nowhere you got a 6-corner ring.
Yeah.
It's a weird transition.
Right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're still wrestlers. We're still professionals. We're gonna do what we do. But
Exactly.
It's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a different feel.
Yeah. So, who would you say are some of your biggest influences when it comes to your in-ring style and your character?
So, I try, man, that's tough, right? Because I try to model myself off of a lot of the old school, like Yokozuna, Bam Bam Bigelow, Rikishi. Rikishi's one of my favorites. Yokozuna is definitely one of my all-time favorites. And then you got Rikishi. A lot of big man stuff. I saw like A-Train and Viscera, like a lot of those guys, right?
Yeah.
The problem, what I've noticed about myself is I portray a monster. So I do my best to still kind of do monster stuff, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also don't limit myself to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which apparently is a good thing, because I had a moment where Tommy Dreamer was wrestling one of my good buddy Exodus at MPX, and Tommy was asked to watch my match for me. And I didn't know about this, by the way, but the booker had told him, "Hey, you're gonna want to watch this match. I think you'll like the big guy." At the end of the match, I come to sit down, and Tommy Dreamer comes up to me and he goes, "Man, you're really good, man." He was like, "Dude, that was awesome. The way you move," because that reminds me of a lot of the old school, big guys that could move really good and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that was a great compliment, because that's kind of how I try to model myself.
Right.
The only difference is again, I tend to try to do more modern moves, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I still like my old school style, but I also know I have to adapt.
Right.
I cannot be old school everywhere I go.
Right. Yeah.
Because not every promotion is calling for old school,
Yeah.
You might go to a small town where all they want to see is people fight. They don't care about all them go moments, like super indie stuff, But then you might go to a place where you go to this promotion and you wrestle old school, and these people are just bored because they're used to that super indie stuff.
Yep.
So you got to have a balance. So I try to have a balance. Now I still am old school, but I have my moments where I kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I kind of measure my indie moments. I kind of measure them in spurts. You know what I mean? Rather than the whole match being super indie, I'll do a super indie spot here, and then I slow it down back to old school.
Yeah.
And then when the moment calls for it, we'll do another little super indie spot, and then I'll shut it back down. And then once we get towards the finish, that's when it starts getting a little crazy. And then boom,
Right. Your most recent match that I saw was against Sam Stackhouse. And I was stoked whenever I found out that you were going to be wrestling him, because your style mixed with his, I knew that I was going to see something special that night, between the two of you, and y'all put on an amazing match.
Man, I love Sam.
Oh yeah.
Sam, I've known Sam for quite a while now. Like when I first broke in the indie scene in Oklahoma.
Okay.
When I first moved to Oklahoma, I didn't wrestle for the first 6 months. I was trying to get my feet, settled in and stable or whatever. Yeah. And I started wrestling Sam, and then I met Sam, and I met a bunch of other people. Sam is probably one of the most humblest people.
Yes.
That I have ever met. Like it's just one of those things with Sam where it's like Sam does not realize how good he is and how good he's always been, And every time that me and Sam have a match, it seems like it just gets better and better and better and better. Like me and Sam had a match for a show that was called World Class, and Jeff Jarrett was there. And I forgot who the other guy was. But when we got done, Jeff Jarrett was like, "Dude, that was awesome." And we really didn't do a whole lot.
Right.
But we did enough. You know what I mean? And like I said, every time that I have a match with Sam, it just gets better and better. Like me and Sam have this chemistry that's crazy.
Yeah.
So like I know when I wrestle Sam, it's gonna be great.
Right.
My only worry was if that ring was gonna hold up.
So I actually have a funny story. My wife, she's not a huge wrestling fan and everything, but she knows enough about it. She knows who you are. She knows who Sam Stackhouse is and stuff. And I told her, I'm going to get to see you two wrestle. And she said, is the ring going to be okay? But yeah, no, that it worked out good though.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. I know prior to it, Xander comes up to it. They go, "Hey guys, can you guys do your best to like limit hitting the ropes?" So Xander has a really good ring, right? And it's newer.
Yeah.
But it's a little different from others. Like, I haven't quite figured out why, but like it moves a lot. Like it moves a lot. Yeah. So like me and Sam both were talking. We're like, "Ooh, what are when we were talking about doing the whole shoulder tackle spot that we did?"
Yes.
I was just like, man. I told Sam, I was like, maybe we shouldn't hit the ropes.
Is that where y'all were going in a circle, right?
Yeah. So we had already talked about not hitting the ropes, and then Xander comes up and goes, "Hey guys, can y'all like limit hitting the ropes?" And we're like, "Oh, bro, we're already there." So anytime that me and Sam had to bump at the same time, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, it would have been a very memorable moment. That's for sure.
Man, I've broken some rings, man. And when I say broke, I don't mean like the whole ring just fell apart.
Right.
But I've broken parts of the ring. I've bent a bunch of beams. Now those all came from superplexes off the top rope.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And it was me and another big guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, there's the thing is like I said, those make memorable moments though, when things like that does happen. So yeah, I'm just glad that I was there to see that match because
I'll tell you one thing though, while me and Sam were doing all that running into the shoulder tackles, I sure was worried because boy, that ring was moving
kind of side to side there.
So every time we hit, I'm like, ooh. In my head, I'm like, ooh.
So do you prefer to be heel or face?
Honest to God, I would say heel.
Heel?
Yeah. And then one of the main reasons being, outside of wrestling, I'm like a teddy bear. I'm one of the nicest dudes ever. Like I would say anyway, and a lot of people tell me that.
Yep.
So like a lot of people tell me, see me in the ring versus see me outside of the ring. They're like, dude, you're two different people. I like being a heel because in all honesty, like being a heel, you can say and do stuff.
Yep.
You can't really say in the real world.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Now when I say that, I don't mean like I'm out there just cussing out little kids and stuff,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
You gotta be reasonable. But like it feels more natural, and that's crazy because I'm such a nice guy.
Yep.
But heel feels more natural, and it's like I don't mind being a face, right? Because you got to do it.
Yes,
you have to do it. I mean, in your wrestling career, you have to do it at least once. So there's that, right? But being a face, to me, I feel like I'm being a cheerleader.
Gotcha.
All this trying to get them behind me, kicking the mat. Come on, guys. Come on. It feels weird. And it's like, again, I'm such a nice guy. You would think that would be natural.
Right.
And it's not. I feel like a cheerleader. I feel out of place sometimes. Now, there are shows that as a face, the fans make it really easy.
Right. Yeah.
And I tried to, what honestly I tried to do is be that more like that Randy Orton kind of face, where I'm still me.
Yep.
I'm still monster. I'm still a monster. I'm still, that gimmick. Now, obviously, I can't say or do some of the stuff I do as a heel, but essentially the gimmick is still the same. I'm still the same monster, mean-looking, scary-looking guy. I just kind of toned down the a-hole part of it.
So after that first show that I was backstage with you guys, I came home and so my daughter, she was like, "Oh, Angel Camacho, he's so rude," because she had only seen what you'd done on out there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then I came home and I was like, "Dude, he's like the nicest guy ever." And she's like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah, he really is." I said, "We sat back there and we talked about Disney movies and we talked about anime," and she was like, "What?" So yeah, as soon as I got home, I had to go in there and tell her, be like, "Yeah, no, he's completely different." So,
Dude,
and that was my
awesome.
first time backstage too.
Right. But it's awesome though. Like that's
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know people again. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I know people that are like kayfabe. If you're a heel in the ring, you need to be a heel in real life, and it's just like I get it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe back in the day that worked,
right?
And to an extent, I still do, but
yeah,
I'm not the type of person that can just randomly be mean to people.
Yeah.
I get messages from people on Facebook and Instagram of fans and stuff. Oh, I love you so much. You're so awesome. You're one of my favorites. Am I supposed to be like, "Oh, you suck. Get out of my DM,"
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Angel Camacho isn't Angel Camacho without the fans. Let's just be honest.
Right.
If no one cared about me, whether I'm a face or a heel, whether you're cheering me or booing me, who am I?
Right.
I'm just another guy in the ring.
Yep.
At the end of the day, yes, I worked hard to be who I am, to be athletic, and to be able to do the stuff that I do, right? I did all that, right? All the training and stuff. At the end of the day, I'm nobody if people don't know who I am.
Yep.
Again, whether they boo me or cheer me, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So there was a list that actually came out this week, and it's for the top 500 Hispanic and Latino wrestlers. And you actually made that list. In fact, it was funny because it was pretty much all the Camachos are right there together, except for Emmy. I think she was a little further down the list and everything, but you made 222 on that list. So I wanted to tell you congratulations on making that. Did you know that was going to be coming out or anything?
I did not. So I think the very same guy that made that is the guy that makes the ones every year with the pictures of all the Hispanic wrestlers.
Okay.
He'll make the ones that all the black wrestlers and stuff like that. So I think that's who made that.
Okay.
My thing about it is I don't ever know how to react to those things, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like I'm honored to be on a list that someone made.
Yeah.
But is it I don't want to say this and sound like a complete butthead or beat. But is it something that someone just decided, hey, I'm going to make this list?
Right.
Does it hold value to it?
Yeah.
Regardless if it holds a significant value to it, it's cool to be on that list.
Right.
And I'm very honored. I'm very honored. I guess it's kind of weird to me.
I got you.
It's just different. But it was nice. Because that's the first time I think I've been on a list like that before. So it was nice to be on it and to be in the 200s because I definitely could have been lower. You know what I mean? So for him to do his research,
right,
and stuff like that, and put me and my cousins and my brother where we were, that's cool. I appreciate that.
Right. Well, and I saw your post, and I don't know if it was fueled by that list or not about having the the 5-way match, or it was the 4-way match between all of you, and having Emmy actually ref the match itself.
So here's the thing, right? Everyone can relate. Family's family.
Right.
We're all human.
Yep.
We all fight.
Yep.
Right. At the end of the day, we're family.
Yep.
Blood, and I say all the time, blood's always thicker than water.
Yep.
But just like family, just like siblings, cousins, we fight. The only difference is the way that we handle our disputes and our issues isn't like the regular people where they just sit down and have a talk. Machos don't work that way. You know what I mean? For us, the way we handle our disputes is by fighting, But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we're back to being family. We're back to loving each other. We're back to going and beating up other people.
Yeah.
But I mean, just like family, like I said, we have disputes. And it's just easier for us to handle it in the ring than it is to sit there and have a little powwow talking about our feelings.
Yeah. I get that. So the question is that I heard backstage, are there any more Camachos that we don't know about yet that are going to show up?
No, not currently. Now my kids did say they want to wrestle.
Oh,
so we might have some future Camachos.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. The newest Camacho at the moment is Irving.
Okay.
But Irving only really is that diamond stick.
Right. And he's he does the managerial role, and then
pretty much the managerial role.
His podcast is really taking off too. I mean, I've seen some of the stuff that he's been doing with his, and he's doing awesome with that.
Yeah, he really is. Irving's really cool, man. I told Irving I want to get him out more to other places.
Yeah.
But as adults, we still have to live an adult life. If
right.
Wrestling isn't your full time.
Yep. So this is one I have an actual testimonial for myself. I've used this company to get a custom gift made for my wife. If you're looking for a handmade custom gift or something that's laser engraved or just something that's one of a kind that says, hey, I care, then go to 3S Productions. They even make military and sports themes gifts as well. It is a veteran-owned and operated family business. Hit them up on their Instagram page, and that's at 3S Productions. I will have a link to them in my show notes. When it comes to laser engraving or any type of woodworking, go to 3S Productions with a Z. And like I said, I'll have a link to them in my show notes.
Hey there, podcast listener. You enjoying what you're listening to? Well then, do I got a special treat for you. Story time with Cosplay Dude 637. That's me. I'm your host. And I like to tell you stories. Stories that I personally enjoy. So, buckle up, get comfortable, because we're going on a wild ride.
So, I kind of want to switch back over to this. I wanted to talk about the wrestling side of stuff. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring you on here is because we both kind of love these. We love different animes. We love different... even Disney, I mean, like I said, whenever I first walked over there, it was you and I believe it was Jace Osei was sitting there, and y'all were talking about Disney movies, and so I was like, okay, I can get in on this and everything, because it's it's a subject that we can all talk about.
Right.
So I know you said that you like My Hero Academia. What would you say was probably, when it comes to anime, what was your gateway into that?
Man, honestly, to be completely honest with you, I don't know what got me started watching anime.
Okay.
I will say this, right?
Going
from football to wrestling is definitely a different scene.
Yes.
Because whether a wrestler wants to tell you or not, all wrestlers are nerds.
They really are, yeah.
My first experience with anime, and at that time I was still like that's weird.
Yeah.
Was one of the girls that I trained with. She was into like anime and all that stuff. And she would talk about it, and I'd be like, that's weird. Like, what the heck? Like, what? And and honestly, I got really big in anime in the last, I want to say, probably the last 3 or 4 years is when it became more of a thing to me. Because and honestly, it started whenever I started wrestling in Texas. People just kept telling me, oh, this show and this show and this show. And I'm just like, And then one day I was at home and I was like, let me see this. Let me see what this is about.
Yeah.
My first anime was My Hero.
Oh, okay.
And I started watching it, man, and from episode 1, I was like, man, this is awesome. No, I lied. Dragon Ball Z was my first anime, but
okay.
I know it's an anime, but I don't ever consider it like an anime.
It's part of our childhood, tunnA.
Yeah, exactly. So like that was kind of my first anime, but my first anime was My Hero.
Okay.
And I watched it and I was like, dude, this is awesome. And then it's like I remember spending the entire day just watching episode after episode after episode. At the point where my girlfriend was like, "Hey, can we watch something else?" I'm like, "No, go watch it in the living room. I'm watching this."
Yeah.
So, My Hero, and then my daughter got me into Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Because one of her friends was a Demon Slayer fan.
Okay.
And so my daughter kind of was like, hey, Daddy, you want to watch Demon Slayer? And that kind of became our thing.
Yeah.
But to me, like Demon Slayer, the graphics and them are the same as My Hero. So I think that's kind of why I'm into it.
Graphics is so good on those, like especially Demon Slayer.
Yep. And it's just like, the graphics are similar to My Hero, but obviously have a different storyline.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. It's not all the same storyline,
Yeah. Yeah. I do like that. So I have a little bragging spot, and my listeners know this because I tell people this all the time, but it's a very proud moment for me. I've actually had tunnA Ida on my show, and I've had Tensei Ida on my show. So J. Michael Tatum, who plays the voice of tunnA Ida, I've had as an interview on this show. And then the one that voices Ingenium, his older brother, I've had him on the show too.
Okay. So this is where my inexperience comes in. And don't hate me, people. Don't hate me. Who are these people you just mentioned?
So do you know who Ingenium is? He's the one that can run fast. And
on what show?
My Hero.
Yes. The one that can run really fast.
Yes. So the one that he's in class with, that's tunnA Ida. And the guy who voiced the American voice actor for that, I've had him on the show. And then the guy who plays his older brother, because remember his older brother is the last person that gets hurt by Stain. He's like
right, and that's why he becomes like his brother or whatever.
Yeah. And so I've had that guy on the show too. And he actually also voiced Nappa in Dragon Ball Z, which is
nice.
Yeah. So, I those are probably my two proudest moments for this podcast.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. I met one of them at Comic-Con last year, and the other one I sent a message on Instagram, and he was like, okay, let's do it. So yeah.
Dude, it's always nice when those guys are super famous.
Yeah.
And super popular, but take their time.
Right.
To talk to their fans and stuff.
Yeah. And, I sent messages to a bunch of different ones, and he's the only one so far that's messaged me back.
Nice.
And my goal is to get Chris Sabat, which is the voice of Vegeta, and he's also the voice of All Might. So that's my goal. I want to get him on the show.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
Vegeta and All Might are freaking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do kind of nerd out with that. My show's not just wrestling. I have all kinds of other stuff on here too. But
right.
I had a guy, the episode that just aired this morning, he lives in Central Arkansas, and he has his own comic book company. And so he makes like original comic book stories and stuff. And so we just nerded
he makes
out.
his own comic books?
Yeah. Like I have a signed copy of edition 1 of Vengeance, which is a comic book that he came out with, and another one called Paladin, and so he makes all of, like, him and a couple of other guys make these stories, but he's the one who started the actual company itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's cool.
Yeah, I know. And I'm over here, I'm like, how did I get to this? Because like they actually let me put a advertisement in the Paladin comic book. So I was
nice.
I'm like, dude, that's this is
hard
it's
work
crazy.
pays off, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just doing all this different stuff, and now I'm here talking to you, and it's just a great time.
Hey, you might judge me for this, but I've never been to a Comic-Con.
Have you not? Okay.
Oh wait, hold on. I lied. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I've been to a Comic-Con in Ohio when I first started wrestling. But I didn't get to go through the Comic-Con. I was there for a wrestling show.
Oh wow, dude!
I've never physically been like through the whole Comic-Con scene and all the like the costumes and stuff like that. Now I did do a Comic-Con here recently for Texas All-Star Wrestling.
Okay.
Where once a year they do this huge Comic-Con show, and it's called Comicpalooza. It's in Houston.
Yeah. And
but the problem is where we do the shows, it's like on the second or third floor, so it's not by where all the Comic-Con stuff is. So again, I've been to a Comic-Con, but I've never been to a Comic-Con, if that makes sense.
I got you. Well, we're gonna have to definitely fix that. So I don't know how often you make it up this way. I know you've wrestled up here and everything, and everything that's going on. So you might not make your way up here as much anymore. But January 13th and 14th, Northwest Arkansas Comic-Con is going to be happening here. And I believe that Rocky from the Power Rangers is going to be there too. So
nice.
Yeah.
And what's that, a Saturday, Sunday, I'm assuming?
It is a Saturday, Sunday, the 13th and 14th.
I'm going to have to look it up, because if I have nothing, so with my wrestling, I'm usually booked like towards the end of the year before, and I'm usually booked for the rest of the following year.
Okay.
So my bookings come really quickly, but sometimes I have a little leeway. So I'm going to have to look there and see if I'm booked that day. If not, I might have to make a family trip.
That'd be cool.
Me and the whole family come down there for that Comic-Con, because that'd be cool.
Yeah. Oh, one of the big guests that we have, Kurt Angle's going to be there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, they've got different voice actors and stuff, like the guy that voiced Courage the Cowardly Dog, I think is going to be there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
were you a fan of that show?
Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I love that show.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I could never get into it.
It was kind of creepy at times, but I liked it.
Like, I didn't like the graphics, and it was just creepy. Like, I tried, and you're gonna probably hate me for this one, Scooby-Doo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but I tried, and it's like watching Scooby-Doo, and I'd watch it and be like, oh, this is boring.
Do not tell Misty Marks that. She is a huge Scooby-Doo fan. Like, she collects Scooby-Doo stuff. So,
yeah. I don't know, man.
If you run into her, don't tell her that. Yeah.
I tried. I can't get into it. And then, like, a lot of these more modern cartoons nowadays.
Yeah.
I just can't get into, man. I don't like the graphics. I feel like they took a step back on graphics.
Yeah. I agree there.
I don't like how dumb these characters are. Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Our characters back then, because I'm 37.
Yeah.
So the cartoon back when I was a kid, characters weren't necessarily the smartest either.
Right. We had like real monsters and stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, they weren't always the smartest either, but I don't know why I could get into those more than I could the new age cartoons.
Right. I mean, I can get that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like my kids watch or watched, and I'm like, that's just dumb. There is one that so I have, like I said, a preteen and a teenager, but my dogs, we put on like a TV show for them sometimes whenever we leave the house. That way it's not just like quiet in the house. And I found a kid's cartoon that I actually really like, and my whole family likes it, and that's Bluey.
Bluey. Is that like that little blue fish-looking thingy?
No, Bluey is about a family of like blue heelers.
What?
Like blue heeler dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I ain't never physically seen the show, but I've seen like pictures and like little clips on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that.
Man, it's actually really good. I mean, and it's for little bitty kids, but man, if we ever did have any more kids, I'd happily sit there and watch that one with them.
That's funny.
So yeah.
One of my favorites was Rugrats.
I liked Rugrats. Rugrats was good.
Do you remember Rocket Power?
I do remember Rocket Power. Man,
that was my stuff.
That was a cool show, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. So right around that time,
they never came out with a remake of it.
They probably will soon, and it's going to be awful animation.
I'm sure. Or they'll come out with a live action of it.
Oh yeah, they need to stop trying to do that. So I don't want to give away too much here, but I know that you're a fan of a certain character in Disney. We've talked about it quite a bit.
That's right.
Off of here. Have you seen any of the possible live action versions of him?
So when they were first talking about the live action, I seen the first rendering that they had came out with.
Yeah.
And I'll get it wrong. He's an alien, right?
Right.
We get that.
Yeah.
But you remember Kim Possible and the Naked Mole Rat?
I do. Yep.
So the first rendering I seen of Stitch, which by the way, it's Stitch. I love Stitch.
Yeah.
The first rendering I seen of Stitch, he looked like the Naked Mole Rat, just blue with some tentacles. It looked horrible. Like, you ever seen those live action pictures of like Pokemon and stuff that people make all the time?
Yep.
Where they just look
They're terrifying.
weird and like,
yeah,
they like some experiment gone wrong.
So
the first Stitch rendering I seen was just like this blue Stitch.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like the naked mole rat. With the naked mole rat and Kim Possible was cute. Like, so it was just bad, dude. I was just like, oh no, please don't do it. And then I think like a couple days later, I seen another rendering where he had hair, and he was actually, and I'm 400 something plus pounds, and I play a mean guy, but I'm about to say that he was actually kind of cute. I like this one. So yes, I'm excited, man. I'm excited and not,
right?
Because live actions are so hit or miss, right?
They really are.
Lion King was actually pretty good, and I love that they stuck to the story.
Yes,
from the cartoon, right?
Yes.
Aladdin. Honestly, I've seen Aladdin, but I can honestly tell you I don't remember much of it about it. And then what's another one they came out with live action?
Mulan.
Mulan. Yeah,
they took Mushu out completely.
Really, huh?
They took Mushu out completely. That was my only gripe with it.
That was my only gripe with it too. Mushu was just like nowhere to be found in that movie. But the movie itself was really good.
Yeah, I will agree there.
There was one though I seen recently that I was like, oh, this is horrible.
Let's see.
What was it?
So I know they did The Little Mermaid.
That one's actually really, really good, by the way.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh man, dude, you need to, because that was me and my girlfriend. My kids were in Oklahoma at their mother's house. That it was for the first month of the summer.
Okay.
So me and my girlfriend decided to go to the movies. And that's the movie we seen. Man, that movie was actually I was skeptical.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, oh, it's a girly movie and all that stuff.
Right.
But it was really, really good. I was really taken by it. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
That's the one I haven't seen yet. I want to see it, but I just haven't yet.
Yeah, you need to. You need to start one I haven't seen. I don't know if you did or not. You probably didn't because you got boys. You said, right?
I've got a boy and a girl.
Okay, so then maybe you did. Have you seen the Barbie movie?
So we were gonna go see it, and then something came up, and we didn't. But
have you heard? What have you heard about it?
I've heard that it's good. I've heard both. Really, it depends on who you ask.
Right.
But I've heard good things about it. I mean, I've heard it holds up really well.
So I've heard that. So I've never seen it, right?
Yeah.
But I've heard what you said. I've also heard that it is not a kid's movie.
I've heard that too.
I have heard that it is not a kid's movie. Like, and apparently, like throughout the whole movie, Ken tries to cuss but can't, and then he finally gets a cuss word out at the end. All right. So, like, and then apparently there's like a bunch of sexual like comments in it and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So like my second oldest went to see it with her friend. But I have not seen it yet, and I don't know if I want to. First off, I ain't gonna lie, that is kind of a girly movie. I don't know if I'd ever see it. I know my other girls want to see it, and even my son. So if I see it, it's if it's on a streaming app like Hulu or one of those, like Paramount or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll physically pay for it.
That's mostly
I guess I am technically paying for it, but I don't think I'll go to the movies and pay for it,
So here's one that just came out. Five Nights at Freddy's. Dude, I wasn't here whenever my kids watched it. They watched it with my wife, but they loved it. They said,
it was really good.
Yeah. So
it was really good.
I'm definitely going to have to give it a watch but I think it kind of creeped out my son a little bit. But they both was like, yeah, that's a good movie.
I'll tell you this. If I was still a kid and I went to Chuck E. Cheese, because back then, Chuck E. Cheese, when I was a kid, had the robotic.
Yep, on the stage.
How they have it in that movie, Freddy, where like all robotic.
Yep.
Puppets or whatever. When I was a kid, the Chuck E. Cheese I went to had those kind of robotic like characters where they had like shows like once every hour or something like that. I can't remember. But if I was still a kid and I went to a Chuck E. Cheese after watching this movie, and they had those robotics, I'd be scared. I'd be scared.
Yeah.
Because, boy, I mean, it was actually really, really good. I know I keep saying that for most of these movies we're naming off, but that one was actually really, really good. And I watched it twice. Once by myself when I got home from work one day. And then recently, I want to say a couple of days ago, maybe last week or something, with my kids.
Yeah.
They really liked it. It was really good.
Okay. I'll definitely have to give that one a watch. I mean, like I said, my wife was like, yeah, it's a good movie. And then the kids both were, telling me that I should watch it. So I'll give that one a watch. I have a hard time getting to watch stuff. Like, I just don't have time most of the time. Like, whenever you jumped on here, I was watching Demon Slayer, and I was like, oh, I'll just watch this for a little bit until it's time, because I came out here early, to make sure I had everything set up and ready to go. And that was like my little amount of time to watch one of my shows and everything.
Right.
So, I'm still trying to catch up on Gen V even. I don't know if you're watching any of that.
What is it?
Gen V.
What is that?
So have you ever watched The Boys?
Yes.
So Gen V is about a college in that same like storyline. It's like a spin-off
like
of
superheroes,
that.
But they're more realistic, like real life superheroes.
Well, no, I mean The Boys is I mean, let's see, how do I put? So this is like people that are training to become the superheroes in the show and stuff.
Okay, what streaming app was that on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
And you said it's called Gen V?
Gen V, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a spin-off of The Boys, with like Homelander and all that.
Yeah. Which is crazy, man, because when I first seen The Boys, a commercial for it, I'm like, oh man, that looks pretty good. And then I watched the first episode when the guy that runs really fast ran through that person.
The first
oh god,
yeah, the first like couple minutes of the episode, you're like, oh, okay, they went there.
I was like, so this is that kind of movie.
Yeah,
but to be honest with you, like what I like about it is that it's more realistic. Like,
right,
if we had superheroes right now in real life, like I would see these superheroes being like The Boys.
Yep.
Because they're dealing with everyday stress in life and stuff like that. It's not like I love superhero movies, Superman, all that stuff, right? Yeah. But it's not like the superhero movies where it's like they're quote unquote real life characters, but a lot of the stuff just doesn't make sense.
Right.
The Boys, on the other hand, like they actually struggle with real life situations, the stress of being famous and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I definitely love it. I love the darkness to it. It's
it brings dark.
So that one, and then there's another one on there, and actually just came back. I haven't got to watch any of it yet, and that's Invincible. It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah. But they just started season 2 on that. So I'm...
Oh, good. Okay, then I need to get back on there. I've been slacking on my Amazon Prime. I usually do like Hulu. I'll do Max.
Okay.
Peacock.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I got Netflix, Peacock, Hulu, Max.
Yep. I might as well have cable.
I got all those streaming apps. But the ones that I usually watch the most is like Paramount, Peacock, and Netflix.
Okay.
And then Max is, I use Max more for my superhero shows like Teen Titan.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? What's the other one where it's like the spinoff for this Teen Titan? Where they got the robot that's kind of like he was like a NASCAR driver.
Yeah. It's Brandon Fraser in that part. Yeah, I know what you're talking. What's it called?
So like that kind of that's what I use Max for. But I need to get back to my Amazon Primes because they do have some good shows there.
Yeah. Did you ever get into the show Lucifer?
So I just started. Okay. I have a weird tendency of where I'll start watching something and I'll get a couple episodes in and then I'll jump to something else and then I won't watch that for a while.
You sound
and
like
I'll go back to it. I need to go back to it. I started watching it and I'm not out of the first season yet. And matter of fact, I think I made it to maybe episode 5.
Okay.
And the reason that I got into it is because I had seen a clip of it on Facebook.
Yeah.
and it was the clip where they're like all in like this big coliseum, and he's fighting for like the sword or whatever.
Yep.
And he's fighting his brother.
Yep. Fighting Michael.
So that's what really got me interested in it, and then I started watching it, and then I got hooked on something else, and I stopped watching it. But I do need to get back to it.
The other show was Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It
was going to drive me nuts if I didn't look that up and figure out what it was. But no, the Lucifer, it's in the DC universe as well. And
is it really?
Oh yeah, that's the comic book of Lucifer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and how I kind of figured that out is because, so do you remember CW had like Flash and Green Arrow and Supergirl, and they did that big crossover between all of them.
All of them, yes.
Well, Constantine had to get a passport to hell. Well, it had him come out there, and he gave him the card to get into hell for a few hours.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, and so I was like, wait a minute. And so then I looked it up, and it's like, sure enough, that it's based off of the DC comic book of Lucifer.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So you learn something new every day.
I know, right? I love DC's TV shows. Like, there's probably some of my favorites. Like, one of the ones I really liked that I wish they would have done more with, and they kind of would have went a different direction with, was Legends of Tomorrow. Did you ever watch that one?
Yes, I actually liked Legends of Tomorrow. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was a very good show. Out of those, I think that was the one that I enjoyed the most from beginning to end.
Did you see the Clark and Lois one?
I didn't watch that one because I thought he looked too short to be Superman.
But the thing is that's the usual Superman though. Like I'm used to. Well, maybe it's because I've seen from episode 1 of that. Maybe you might be right.
Yeah.
You might be right because he looks like the usual Superman.
He does, but I also grew up with Tom Welling playing Superman in Smallville. So that's my Superman whenever it comes to TV shows is him. Did you watch Smallville?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, that was so good.
It was. Matter of fact, I want to say last year or the year before, I got onto the whole Smallville series. Yeah, I watched it from start to end. It was really, really good. Yeah. One of the movies that I'm a little upset about. So I recently seen the Flash movie. Well, first the Justice League, right? When they came out with the Justice League,
right?
I'm a little upset because I was watching the Flash series, and the guy they have playing Barry Allen.
Yep.
I feel like he's the perfect Flash. Yes. And then I watched Justice League, and they used this other guy, and I was just kind of like, ugh. And then they came out with the new one that's now on Max.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching, and I was just like, man, I'm so used to seeing the other guy play Barry Allen, and he played it so good that trying to see this guy play Barry Allen was a little weird.
Yeah. So, did you watch the final season of Flash on TV?
Yes,
the TV show? Okay.
I believe I did.
I didn't finish it, but I saw clips from it, and it looked like, were they harnessing the lightning into like sword form, or what was happening there at the end?
I'm trying to remember. I want to say I did watch the last season because if I remember correctly, I remember watching an episode and then going back to season 1. Okay. Or it was offering me another series to watch.
Yeah.
I want to say I did. It was a while back, so I can't really remember, but I think I finished it. Now you're gonna have me going on. I think was it on Hulu? I think right. I want to say I was watching it on Hulu. Was it Hulu?
Maybe. It's
Netflix. I think it may have been Netflix.
It might have been. I think it was Netflix. Hulu is more of like your Disney stuff, so you're more likely to find Marvel stuff on there.
Yeah.
But
okay, Netflix. Now I'm gonna have to go back on Netflix and see because I'm pretty sure I watched the whole season.
Okay,
like all the seasons. But now you got me wondering because I'm trying to remember. Do I remember a episode with a sword?
You're gonna have to put all of those shows on hold so you can go back to this one. Sorry.
one that I'm a little upset I didn't get to finish was Green Arrow, but like I've tried.
Yeah.
Like it's so good up to a certain point, but then it's like I've tried to continue watching it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't. I guess since they killed off.
Yeah. So the first couple seasons to that show was amazing. Like, some of the best TV that I've seen in a long time. And me and my wife will actually go back and rewatch those first couple of seasons because
right.
It's just good stuff. But yeah, towards the end, you could tell they were running out of ideas for story.
they were fishing for stuff.
They were. So,
they were like at the bottom of that barrel trying to just pull out what they could.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So there is one thing I did want to talk to you about.
Okay.
It has to do with comic books and everything, but you have the moniker, the Puerto Rican Juggernaut.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that came about because of your love for comic books too, right?
So, here's another thing. This is showing my inexperience when it comes to comics and anime and stuff. It's more for my love of the cartoon of the X-Men.
The 90s one?
Not so much the comic books, to be honest with you. I own 2 comic books right now, and they're both Joker comic books.
Okay.
That's another thing that I really don't tell a lot of people. Because when people ask, it's usually Stitch. But my first love was the Joker. I don't know if you've seen the tattoo on my thigh when I'm wrestling. It's the Joker's face.
Yep.
And it says, "Why so serious? Let's put a smile."
Yep.
Joker's my absolute favorites. On my car, on my back window, I have the Joker sticker.
Yep.
I have a hatchback. Eventually, I'm going to repaint my rims to purple and green.
Oh, that'll be
and then
cool.
I'm also going to get, so you know how people get racing stripes on their car?
I'm
going to get a racing stripe on my car too, but it's going to say ha 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 ha. And it's just going to be
cool.
the letter that's going to go from the front to the back. So
cool.
When it comes to characters, like it's Joker, Stitch, and then the Juggernaut. So yes, my name came from the Juggernaut from X-Men, but it's not so much the comics; it's more the cartoon that I used to watch growing up.
Yeah, the 97 version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which
I
grew up on that.
My Joker helmet. So my Joker helmet is based more off the recent X-Men movies.
Because
I do have I don't know. So I haven't worn that Diamond State show. You may have never seen it actually.
I don't think I have.
I got a Juggernaut helmet made.
Really?
And it has LED lights and stuff on it too. So like I use it for entrances when I come in.
That's cool.
Now I don't use it for everywhere.
Right.
I use it for more bigger matches and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's made out of hard foam. So I have to be kind of careful with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bulky, so it's really hard to carry around.
Okay.
So like I only use it for like really big shows and really big moments.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much just like an entrance prop.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe one day I'll actually get to see that and everything.
Yeah, I plan on bringing it to the Diamond State eventually.
Okay.
Like I said, it takes up a lot of room. So
we're kind of coming up close to a close on this episode and everything, and I've just got a few more questions for you before I get you off of here.
All right.
If you had some advice to give somebody who was just starting out, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a good one, man. Definitely. People's mindset about wrestling is that it's easy because it's quote unquote fake. People come into wrestling thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna become a wrestler. It's gonna be really easy," because it's just acting and all the other stuff. Wrestling is not for the weak-minded.
Yeah.
You definitely have to come in with a strong mind, because if you're going to a reputable school, for instance, I use DFW a lot because with Lou, like he's one of those trainers that you're going to work to become a wrestler.
Yeah.
He's not just going to let you do a couple bumps and then say, "Hey, you're a wrestler now."
Right.
They train 2 to 3 times a week, show days. They have to be at the show to help put up the ring. They have to take the ring down. They don't get back to their training center sometimes till like 3 a.m, and they got to put it back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wrestling is very time consuming.
Right.
And especially if you have a family and you're trying to wrestle, you have to be dedicated. If you're not willing to be dedicated to do it, it's not going to be for you.
Yeah.
Also, have a little bit of you have to have a little bit of athletic ability. It's really hard to become a professional wrestler if you don't have an athletic bone in your body. It's not impossible, right?
Yep.
Because your drive can always conquer anything.
Exactly.
But to have a little bit of athletic ability, if not a lot, will go a long way for you.
Yeah.
But it hurts. Wrestling hurts. The bumps, the training is exhausting. The time that you have to put in to be a wrestler. If you want to be a wrestler that can gets put on good shows, reputable shows that make sense or that matter, that you know what I mean, you have to pretty much blood, sweat, and tears is what they say.
Yep.
You have to dedicate a lot of your time to it.
Right.
Anyone can call themselves a wrestler, but not everyone can call themselves a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
So like, just you gotta have the heart, man. If you got the heart, right, then and you're willing to overcome all the hardships and stuff of it, then you know that'll go a long way for you. Especially if you're trying to make this a career.
Yeah.
Trying to make wrestling a career is it takes a toll. All the traveling, you know, the constant in your car, sleeping in a hotel, sleeping in your car, type of stuff like that, you know, barely surviving day by day. It's kind of one of the reasons why at the moment I'm more just indie right now. It's because at the end of the day, I got 4 kids.
Right.
They're my priority.
Yeah.
I have to work a regular 9 to 5 to make sure our bills and stuff are paid.
Yeah.
So I'm what you call a weekend warrior. But when I'm out there, I'm out there.
Right.
You know, so it is like it can take a toll on you if you're single, take a toll on you, and if you got a family, it can definitely take a toll on your family. So you have to go into this making sure this is what I want.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not easy. It really isn't. But once you get through it, then the enjoyment you get out of it, like, it's amazing.
Right.
So
yeah. So do you have anything that's maybe coming up that you want to talk about?
So this coming weekend, which is what's the date this weekend? I'm horrible with dates.
That would be the weekend. It'd be the 25th and 26th.
Okay, yeah. So Thanksgiving weekend, I don't have anything. You know, and that's not by purpose. I just didn't have anything, and it works out because I'm gonna go to San Antonio, spend a week with my brother because he lives in San Antonio. But other than that, like, I got RCW coming up. I got quite a bit of shows coming up. November 25th, I had MPX, which I really enjoy wrestling there. So, like, for people that are listening to your podcast and don't know much about MPX, like, they have their own site. If you go to metroplexwrestling.com, I believe it is, you can watch live streams and stuff like that.
On their Twitch channel too.
Yep, Twitch. They also have YouTube. It's a really good show. Good product. Like, their production is really good and stuff like that too. So
yep.
But then I got Lost Art Pro Wrestling, which is in Mississippi. So I mean, I got, let me see, I got a total of 5 more shows for the year. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 more shows for the year, and then I'm done.
All right.
For the year.
Well, I mean, you stay busy though. I mean, you just said that you're going to be in Mississippi and stuff, and BIW, that is in Mississippi, isn't it? Like, is that where exactly is that? Is that Biloxi area?
So, BIW does 3 different locations.
Okay.
So 3 different states. I'm sorry. They do Mississippi, which is like Brookhaven.
Okay.
And I want to say Vicksburg, which I believe is Mississippi as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So, which is where I'm at this weekend. Okay. And then they do Louisiana, which is Monroe. They do Natchez, and there's one more that we just recently did. And then we also do Fountain Hill, Arkansas.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of all over the place then. That's really cool.
Yeah, he tries to keep around there because Fountain Hill is only about an hour from Louisiana.
Ah, okay.
Something like that. Hour, 2 hours, something like that. So it's close.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. And then I have RCW on Sunday.
Awesome.
Which you can watch RCW, which stands for River City Wrestling. You can watch that on Title Match.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely try and check that out. And if people want to follow you online, how can they do that?
So there's Facebook, which is Angel Camacho. That's Facebook, and then Instagram. I don't really want to say Twitter, which I guess is X now. I don't use it anymore.
Okay.
I haven't been on there in a long time. But for Instagram and TikTok, it's A_Camacho09.
Okay.
I do have a YouTube channel, and it's just Angel Camacho. I don't really post a whole lot. Like, if you want to watch my entrance videos, if you want to watch UFC's entrance video, which is my family, which I know at Diamond State we're under the United umbrella,
right?
But prior to that, we're called the United Familia Camacho,
right?
aka UFC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you want to watch our entrance video, that's on there. I got a couple. I don't know if I have any matches per se, but I got a couple like promo videos. I want to say that's about it. I'm still kind of new to the whole posting videos on YouTube.
Man, me too.
Social media in general, to be honest with you, because when I first started in 2009, you know, the way you promoted was by flyering. Like MySpace was the thing.
Yes.
Then Facebook was just for college kids at that time.
Yep.
So you know,
well, it had only been around for 3 years by that point.
Right, exactly. So, and then it was mainly, like I said, it was mostly a college-based social media site. You know.
Yeah.
At that time, you had MySpace, which MySpace was awesome, by the way.
It was. I actually had a link to my Facebook on my MySpace page.
See, that's awesome. MySpace was awesome. And then you start decorating your MySpace, and it starts lagging.
Yep, everybody hated going to my page because I, had all that code in there. Like the cursor changed into like a Superman. Symbol and all that. So I totally get that.
But my main sources of social media, like I said, is Facebook, which is just Angel Camacho, and then TikTok and Instagram, it's just A_Camacho 09. So you can go on there. I try to post plenty of pictures when I get them. I try to post videos when I get them. TikTok, I have quite a bit of videos of wrestling, like me would do like moves and stuff like that. But I do try to post regularly the shows that I'm going to be on. Stuff like that. So
all right, man. Well, I just want to tell you thank you for being on here tonight. I've had a blast talking to you. We've kind of covered the board on everything, and I feel like we could probably still talk for another hour or two if we want. Yeah,
probably so. I tend to, once I get going, man, I tend to talk a lot. I try to pull back a little, but I tend to, once I get going, man. There's no stopping me.
So that's okay with me. I've actually had a few episodes where I've had to cut it into two parts because we went so long. I did a Batman episode with Justin Lee to where we almost recorded for 3 hours. So
you said Batman?
Yeah, that's all we talked about was Batman. So
boo, Batman, boo. To me, Batman's such a fake superhero.
Are you a Superman guy?
People. If you guys are a Batman fan, boo you guys. So he's just a rich man with money that got a bunch of things made to make himself a superhero.
That's great. Yeah.
Joker's 100% better than Batman. Joker's real. Every bit of it.
That's true.
Nothing to think about Joker.
That's true. Are you more of a Superman guy then?
Superhero wise?
Yeah.
So we never did touch that. Superhero wise, I'm more. Man, that's rough. I'm more of a like Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Because he's really called Captain Puerto Rico.
Okay. He's only got 1 star on there.
Right. So he's really Captain Puerto Rico, but we let them have the name.
Yeah.
But superhero wise, man, I honestly don't know who my favorite superhero is. To be completely honest with you.
Okay.
You would think the Hulk or somebody, but no, that's not necessarily true.
Okay. I'll let you think about it, and the next time
I'm more of a villain guy, man. As you can tell, I'm more Joker, Juggernaut.
Yeah, that's okay, man. That's totally okay. All right, man. Well, you have a good night, and I will talk to you next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Riddle me this. what you get when you get 3 Power Ranger fans who also write Power Ranger fan fictions and upload them on separate podcasts and YouTube channels, and you happen to put the 3 of them together and they form a unique Power Ranger storyline. Here's your answer. You get the 3 Ranger Bros, who is myself, Ty Tiger, the Red Corner Ranger, Mark, and the Cosplay Dude 637. We are the 3 Ranger Bros, and we came up with the idea called Power Rangers Global, a storyline where 4 different Rangers from different universes team up to save Universe 2118, a universe ruled by the gods. Now, if you want to hear Power Rangers Global, you can find it on Tiger Tales, the YouTube channel, and Nerds Through Comics, the podcast, and you can find that podcast anywhere that podcast can be listened to. So one more time, that's Power Rangers Global on Tiger Tales, the YouTube channel, and Nerds Through Comics, the podcast.
This is Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, and one of the 3 Ranger Bros studios, along with Ty Tiger with Tiger Tales on YouTube, Cosplay Dude 637 with Storytime and Universe 19, and my podcast, Nerds Through Comics. Also, check out the Zeo to Hero Network with Zeo to Hero, hosted by Billy and Jim, the Balkan Scholar podcast, Ben, the Baker Ranger with Baker Ranger Movie Talks, plus the partners of Zeo to Hero. You can check them all out on TikTok and Instagram.
Hey listeners, I'm glad you're enjoying what you're listening to. I'm Billy from Zero to Hero Podcast. I'll always be joined by Jim, and me and him are the Balkan Skull Podcasting. If you definitely like jumping down rabbit holes from week to week of anything that ranging from the old school Power Rangers 90s-esque nostalgia, or we could even be talking about moon landings. So, I know you're interested, so definitely after the show, come check us out. Zeo to Hero Podcast.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Angel Camacho, and I just want to say thank you to Angel for being on the show and taking time out of his busy schedule to come and have a conversation with me on here. So next week, I will be having with me another returning guest, and that is Cosplay Dude 637, or also known as Willie. He was on, I think, sometime in the spring, and so now he's back on to kind of talk about some of his projects and talk about some of the voiceover work that I've been doing with him and some of the other stuff that's going on as well. It's a lot of fun. Y'all are really going to enjoy this episode with him. So I want to give a shout out to my podcast networks, the OIW Podcast Network, the Zeo to Hero Podcast Network, and the Avenue Podcast Network. When you're waiting on a new episode of iGadapt to drop, go to one of these places and find something else to listen to there. They have all kinds of great content, all kinds of great podcasts. No matter what you're looking for, you can probably find something new and great to listen to at one of those places. So I also have merch out. I have shirts out. And if you guys would like to get one of those, make sure that you hit me up for that. My wife makes all of my merch for me. And she is at Cups and Teas by Stasha. She does all kinds of great stuff. So if you want any custom stuff done, make sure that you go and hit her up as well. Also want to say thank you to Geek for creating my ending theme song for me. If you like what you hear there, make sure you go out and follow him as well. Also want to say thank you to Original Geek Comics for allowing me to be part of their Paladin comic book. They gave me a full-size advertisement in there, and I can't thank them enough for that. If you guys are looking for some new, awesome comic book content to go and read, make sure that you hit up Original Geek Comics. They also have a Kickstarter that's going on right now for the Volume 3 of Vengeance, and so go out there and hit them up for that. Also, I'm working with Diamond State Wrestling, as you know. I helped them start the Rare Cut, and now that is Jake and Jamie who are doing that. And I'm about to start a new project with Diamond State Wrestling, so make sure that you stay up to date with everything there. That way, whenever my new project comes out, you'll be able to jump right into it. So I'm all over social media. Make sure that you go out there and follow me in any of those. Just go in a search bar and type in If You Give a Dad a Podcast, or Google me. I'm on there. Usually the first 10 to 15 results on there as well. And follow me in all the different places. You never know what you might see on there. Also, if you want to send me an email, send it to giveadatapodcast@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Make sure that as you're listening to this, you go and rate and review this episode. Like, share, and subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell. That way you are notified when a new episode of iGadapt drops. I just want to say I thank you guys for all of your support. You guys have been awesome, and I couldn't do this show without you. As you heard me say last week, I am number 4 on FeedSpot for top dad podcasts to listen to, and it's all because of you guys that I've been able to make it that far, and I really do appreciate it. And I've got some really good content that is coming out here soon, and I just want you guys to just stay tuned, because I've got all kinds of great stuff planned, even for the holidays. I know I told you guys that I am going to be taking some time off, but that doesn't mean that there won't be new stuff coming out on If You Give a Dad a Podcast. I do have a few things planned out, so just stay tuned. But it is the end of this episode, and it is time for Billy's favorite part of the episode, and that is Dad Joke of the Week. How much room is needed for a fungi to grow? As mushroom as possible.
Bro.
All right, everybody. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Room rounded, but I got a podcast on. He calls us beautiful people, then tells us who we have on. The best part of my day, though we're blocked out in my pods. Tell my friends all about it so that they follow along. And the host is kinda nerdy, but guess what, I am as well. I don't feel so alone, and I began walking out of my shell. Heard a story, I need a connection I haven't felt. I'll be looking for the next one, till then farewell. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. Listen closely, download and tune in remotely. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely, download and tune in remotely.
This podcast is part of the OIW Podcasting Network.